Good morning, everybody. Welcome into the 615 Preps Scoreboard powered by Fifth Year Technology Concepts. Prince Brooks here with you on a nice Saturday morning here in South Nashville. Let me go ahead and bring in the other two guys that are with me this morning. Joe and Scott with Cam on a secret mission, otherwise known as a bachelor party, so he won't be joining us today. Gentlemen, good morning. Hope you have coffee or something strong after that last night.
Yeah. Yeah.
What happens on Friday night stays on Friday nights, right?
Scott, is Reggie reveling in his otherwise stellar week again?
Yeah, Reggie's actually picked up an agent. I think that he's negotiating now with ESPN.
Yeah,
he's looking for that special kitty NIL.
It must be. He must be. We just have to pause for that because how good he's been the last 2 weeks. He's on an absolute heater, which is probably taking to Vegas, just to be honest.
17-3 over the last 2 weeks with his picks.
Yeah.
That's absurd.
Yeah.
He's a cat.
Yeah. Yeah. It's,
yeah, and evidently smarter than all three of us.
God.
And the fans, too. I don't want to hear a lot of complaining from them because they did awful this week.
Tragic.
I'm going to throw it out there because they're going to throw it back on me. So
yeah.
What are you going to do? Well,
the one good thing for Reggie, I guess, for him is that if he gets one wrong, he doesn't have to apologize.
Nor should he.
He's a cat. He doesn't care.
No, he doesn't.
He's just going to go knock something off the table. I mean, that's what cats do.
Yep.
All right, let's look at some scores from last night. It was kind of a wild night around the area, and we start with one that was pretty wild. Antioch over Stewart's Creek 34-27. Look at the Bears. They're 3-0 in region play in first place. They are way out in front as far as this region is concerned as possible region champions.
Yeah, Javion Ote, I know he went down late in this game. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Scott.
No. Go.
I was just saying, Antioch, like you said, Chris, they're kind of running away with this region at the moment. I know Ote went down late in the game, which hurt Stewart's Creek's chances, but from what I saw, they had a chance late. They just couldn't convert. Antioch proving everybody wrong this year. I think we all thought they'd be better, but I don't know if we all thought they'd be this good.
Yeah, I think that Devin Arnold has to be seriously in consideration for any postseason Coach of the Year awards. What he's managed to do with this Antioch program in 2 years is nothing short of astonishing.
Yeah, and not only are we talking about a region title for Antioch, I mean, they're going to be playing at least one home game, and they're having to pair up against some decent competition in the postseason, but they look like they're starting to be primed for it. That's a big win for Antioch, and the Stewart's Creek still in pretty good shape, 4-2 overall, 1-1 in region play. They're in that Thursday night group next week at West Creek. Well, Antioch will host Mount Juliet in week number 7. Beach goes to Hendersonville and takes care of their crosstown rival Commandos 34-14. Now, the Buccaneers back to 500. They are perfect in region play and probably have a good time for their open date next week. Kind of surprising that this one was lopsided.
But Joe, you saw something last week in Beach, even though you, like me, went Hendersonville. You saw something in their offense last week that you thought boded well for them in the future.
As a Notre Dame fan, got to throw that out there. They're at their best when they're in their 12 personnel. I saw that last week with Beach when they ran their 12 personnel. That's when they had the most success offensively. I'm not sure how much they did that last night, but Caden Powell had a big night running and throwing. This is the Beach I wanted to see last week against Independence. I know it's a different opponent. But to do this on the road at your region rival this was a must-win game for Beach. If they have aspirations of winning that region, this was a must-win. And good for the Buccaneers. They needed a big bounce-back win. They surprised everyone except for their fans who knew this was going to happen. I mean, they had belief in this team for good reason. I think they get on a bit of a roll from here. But yeah, this is the team I wanted to see last week, and they proved all of us wrong except for Reggie and Cam. So
Yeah. We heard a little bit out of KJ. He was at the game last night in a non-official capacity, but he made mention of the linebacker for them, Chandler Westmoreland, that had an absolutely monster game last night.
Yeah, that beach game against Henry County in a couple of weeks is going to be telling. That's going to be conceivably for the region title. Hendersonville falls to 4-2 with that loss and 1-1 in region play. They'll try to bounce back next week when they travel to Springfield. Brentwood stays unbeaten in rather convincing fashion, 38-0 over Overton, as the Bruins now 6-0 in the season. Overton 1-5 and 0-2 in region play.
Baylor Hayes 11 of 13 for 122 yards and 3 touchdowns. Pretty efficient.
Yep.
Yeah, they held Overton to just 120 yards total offense. That Brentwood Bruins defense just keeps rolling.
Yep. They'll travel to Franklin next week. Overton is going to make a visit to Independence, as they'll both be in region play again next week. Cane Ridge in the win column for the first time, 3-0 at Laverne.
Barn burner.
Well, they don't ask you how much; they just ask you if you won, right?
Yeah.
A win is a win.
They will take that.
And sure. I was going to say, at this point, they needed something that, to kind of, boost their spirits and turn around. Who knows? I mean, this may, do something. It's got to do something for your psyche when you're going over in a program that's not used to doing that. Yep. So, of course, you're going to tell me that next week they better have something to carry over.
Yep. The short week for them too. They're at Riverdale on Thursday night. Laverne is at McGavock in pretty much an elimination game in that region. As the loser of that one's going to be out of contention for their playoff spot this year. Cane Ridge still in play for a postseason spot too. I mean, getting that one region win is going to be good. They need another somewhere down the road, and that might propel them to possibly get that.
Yep.
Cheatham County over Joe Burns 20-13. The Cubs get their second win of the year. Joe Burns falls to 1-5. And the Cubs are against Hickman County at home next week, while Joe Burns travels to Salina to play Clay County. Got to find some stats on this one. 67-28 Cannon County over Community. The Lions with some style points in this one, guys.
Looks like a basketball score. Goodness.
Cannon County 2-4 on the season with that first region win of the year. They're at Cornersville next week. Fairview now 4-2 with a 24-7 win over Creekwood. Yellow Jackets will host Montgomery Central next week. Creekwood falls to 2-4 and goes back into region play against Marshall County. DCA no trouble with Mount Juliet Christian, 54-0 winners are the Wildcats, and DCA 4-2, 2-0 region play at Mount Pleasant next week. Mount Juliet Christian, after winning their first 2 games, they've lost their last 4. They're now 0-2 in league play and hit the road against Grace Christian in week number 7. Speaking of unbeaten teams, 38-10 winners, Clarksville over Dixon County. The Wildcats 6-0 now, 3-0 region play, Scott.
Yeah, big night for James Dalrymple. 150 yards, 4 touchdowns. This team is just it. We've talked about them in the past. Is who they play may not be the absolute top line teams, but they are beating teams the way they should be. And Coach Shelby has this team going out and doing the work every week. And this is a good Dixon County team that they managed to run on. It's going to be really interesting when it gets to playoff time, how far this Clarksville Wildcat team can go.
At Dixon County now 3-3 with a 2-1 region record. They're at Rossview next week in a key game for seeding in that region as the winner. That one looks like to be the number 2 seed up there in that Region 7 of Class 6A. FRA wins over East Nashville 42-21. The Eagles actually led this one 21-7, but FRA reels off 35 unanswered points to roar back to that win.
Yeah, huge night for FRA. East Nashville, I think, kind of proved that they are, I know despite the loss, that they're still one of those teams that needs to be reckoned with in 3A. If they drop anywhere, I would be shocked. They lost to a really good team. FRA had a couple kids go off last night, didn't they, Scott?
They did. Ty Clark was one of them. Ty Clark really, Chris, as you said, it was East Nashville at the half, and but FRA came out. Their defense stood up. They held. East Nashville did not convert a third down last night,
Oof.
and they were 0 for 9. So that FRA defense stood up. But like I said, Ty Clark gets 3 second-half touchdowns. Sorry, my screen went black for a minute and I panicked. But FRA just keeps trucking along.
Yeah, another big one for the Panthers next week in region play as Davidson Academy pays a visit to the Hill. East Nashville will try to get back on the horse. They have the TV game next week at Smyrna. They're now 5-1 with their first loss of the year. Summit and Franklin, tight one there in Thompson Station, 13-7. The Spartans hold off the Admirals. Franklin still trying to get that first win of the year. Didn't quite happen. The Spartans now 2-4, and a key region win for them as they're in position to find their way back to the playoffs.
Yeah, Mason McElhaney, 270 yards rushing last night, 2 scores for Summit. Just an absolute show by Summit Spartans offensive line and running game.
Summit's going to travel to Ravenwood next week.
You got to wonder, Franklin is in every one of these games, man. It's going to happen for him. It's going to happen for him this year. It's just all they need is that break.
Yeah, just win.
When did you say when? Yeah, I'm sure they're asking that same question, but I feel it. It's coming for them this year. They're going to get it.
They hit Brentwood visiting next week. They're 0-6 right now, 0-2 region play, but it's just a matter of time for them.
Yeah, this is the best 0-6 team I've ever seen.
I think we've said that about them pretty much every week. Best 0-5, best 0-6, and it's coming. It's coming, Franklin fans. Hang in there.
Yep.
All right, let's kick off our highlights here. We'll head over to Murfreesboro with Friendship Christian and Middle Tennessee Christian. Yates Guerin gets the scoring kicked off with a 9-yard touchdown run to put the Cougars up 7-0. Stay that way until the third quarter. Defense is going to tack on 2 points here as they trap Friendship Christian in their own end zone and then get a penalty on the play. And it makes it 9-0 Middle Tennessee Christian. Low-scoring ball game here in the fourth. Tyson Walcott puts the Commanders up on the board. 3 minutes to go in this one. A couple more touchdowns as the teams traded them, but it wound up being 16-14 in favor of Middle Tennessee Christian. Big win for the Cougars, and they knock off the number 1 team in Division II Single A. And an impressive showing by Christian Peterson's group is they're 6-0 now.
Yeah. Go ahead, Joe.
I was about to say this: if you're MTCS, if you're a player, fan, or coach, this has to feel good after what happened last year, where you go to Friendship Christian, they just beat up on you 28-7, I believe was the score in that game. They limited Tyson Walcott, which no team has done this year. Defensive, as good offensively as MTCS can be this year, it was their defense in this game for some key turnovers. That 2-point convert or that safety was the difference. Really. Just an impressive win for MTCS. Things don't get easier, though. I mean, going to South Pittsburgh is never easy, and the Pirates are very, very, very good this year.
They only had 29 rushing attempts and 4 passes. Their time of possession, Friendship Christian had 30 minutes and 34 seconds time of possession to 17 minutes for Middle Tennessee Christian. I mean, Friendship Christian grinded the ball out. They just couldn't finish drive, and that tells you all you need to know about the Cougars. they stiffen up, bend, don't break. You know, not a big night for Eli Wilson offensively, but I can't wait to see his defensive numbers.
No. Friendship Christian 5-1 with their first loss of the year. They're at Providence Christian next week in region play. Gallatin goes over to Green Hill and knocks off the previously unbeaten Hawks 24-10. This was a game that we all picked for the home team, and yours truly included. And I know Gallatin fans are willing to stick it to us at some point too.
Green Hill, the last couple
Well,
weeks, they've fallen behind in the first half. Fell behind in this one. The last couple games they've been able to rebound. Gallatin proving that they're too good of a team for you to do that, especially offensively. I'm impressed with what they did defensively. I mean, you talk about how high-powered this Green Wave offense is. They limited a really good Green Hill offense to 10 points. That's really impressive. It's a huge region win. I know they've already got the loss to Mount Juliet, but they continue to take care of business. They're in a prime position to really host a playoff game and finish as that 2 seed.
Yep.
I'm not shocked at all by this score. Well, I'll take that back. By this result, I am shocked a little bit by this score. Now we all knew Gallatin could score, but their defenses had not had a showing like this, to my knowledge, not against a team of this caliber this year. And if this Gallatin team, if their defense is catching up to their offense at this point of the season, it's going to be really tough for opponents going forward as the season progresses.
Yep. Gallatin gets Cookeville at home next week. Green Hill will try to rebound against Warren County after their first loss of the season. CPA keeps on rolling, 41-14 over Good Pasture. Lions now 3-0 in region play. They're at Webb School next week, but bigger battles loom for them down the road.
Taking care of business right now before that FRA and Davidson Academy game, those games here in a couple weeks. So,
Good Pasture falls to 2-4 with that loss, and they are now 0-3 in region play. They've got Nashville Christian going to pay a visit to them next week. Maplewood falls 42-0 to Haywood. Panthers now 0-6, still struggling to find anything offensively, and they get Sycamore coming to next week. Haywood 5-1, and they'll be at home against Trezevant. Henry County all over Northeast, 52-14. Now, we talk about Beaches region. The Patriots are into this well. They're 5-1 and playing some good football. Henry County also going to play at Portland next week. Well, Northeast struggling at 0-6. They've got Kenwood at home in week number 7. EGA 51-0 winners over Hunters Lane, and the Wildcats back to 500 at 3-3. Pope Prep pays a visit to BGA next week. Hunters Lane falls to 1-5 with the loss, and they're at home against Stratford next week. Trousdale County's offense finally came alive last night. 55-27 winners at home over Jackson County, and the game they had to have for playoff purposes. The Yellow Jackets are off next week, but that's a good way to go into it.
Yeah, they didn't have any problem with this game. It was pretty much, I think, out of hand in the first half. Trousdale County actually coming along. The thing about Trousdale County is they're starting to show improvement in a lot of areas.
Yeah, they've already beaten their win total from last year. I mean, they only had 2 wins last year. They have 3 now.
Yeah, 400 yards of total offense last night. So they really that running game is really doing something for them.
Yeah. Hillsboro, we keep saying they're quiet. They've been quiet the entire time. They're 5-1, 35-0 winners over Lawson, and the Burros in that region with Nolensville and Page and Centennial looking like that 4th team that might be able to make some noise.
Absolutely. I mean, their only loss is to Centennial. Burros they are the definition of quiet. Huge game next week when they travel to Nolensville.
Yep. Lawson has to go to Page next week. They're 3-3, but more importantly, 0-2 in region play, and a playoff spot's going to kind of hinge on what they do in the last 4 games. Whites Creek breaks in their new turf last night, 24-22 winners over Montgomery Central, and the Cobras get their first region win with that one and improved to 2-3 overall.
Yeah, really nice to see that Whites Creek got to christen the new field with a victory. But they had to come back in this game, show some resiliency as Montgomery Central jumped out in the second half to a lead.
Montgomery Central still struggling to try to find a win. They're 0-6, 0-4 in region play at Fairview next week. Whites Creek travels to Pearl Cone, so they'll go over to their other turf brethren in Metro Nashville for their next contest in region play. Mount Juliet still unbeaten, 47-23 over Wilson Central. The Golden Bears 6-0, and we talked about Antioch possibly playing spoiler for some teams, and Mount Juliet's got to go to Antioch next week.
Yeah, Tyler Travers.
Yeah,
I believe
Bears
had
just
a big
keep
game.
rolling along.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wilson Central falls to 3-3 with that loss. I believe it's their third straight defeat as well, and they're 1-1 in region play. They're at Lebanon next week. Ensworth falls in a region game to MUS 19-14. And a tough loss to the Tigers, who are now 0-1 in region play.
Yeah, Ensworth trying to figure out their identity on offense right now. I think they know they're a really good defensive team, but back-to-back weeks now where the offense hasn't been able to do enough to really back up their defense. It doesn't get much easier, though, hosting a team from Georgia and eventually Father Ryan down the road.
Yeah. Speaking of Father Ryan, MUS is going to play Father Ryan next week. They're probably not happy about having to travel from Memphis to Nashville in back-to-back weeks because they're on the road both times.
Yeah, just Ensworth. It's hard to understand. They are so powerful as far as their offense goes, but just can't seem to find to make it pay off.
Ensworth 4-2. They've lost 2 of their last 3, and then actually they lost 2 straight. And the MUS at 5-1. Like I said, headed to Father Ryan next week to face the Irish. Nashville Christian and Grace Christian had a shootout last night, 39-36 for the Eagles over the Lions. Garrett Curtis had a big night throwing the football, but they needed every one of those points too.
Good to see Jared Curtis back on the field. They needed him. Maybe this is a win that can really get Nashville Christian going. But they got to figure something out defensively. I know Grace Christian's not a bad team, but they've given up a lot of points so far this year.
Yeah, there's some questions on the stats, but I have, from what was submitted to us, Jared Curtis 5 touchdown passes.
Yeah,
and 1 rushing touchdown, so 6 as he comes back. But they still had to score 17 straight points to take the lead. Grace Christian, they're finally, after a few years of struggling, they're a pretty stout team.
The Lions get Mount Juliet Christian at home next week, while Nashville Christian hits the road to Good Pasture. Before we fire up some more highlights, if you're just joining us, this is the 615 Preps Scoreboard presented by Fifth Year Technology Concepts. Let's fire up some more scenes, this time from Centennial. Nolensville and Centennial. Joe, it's all yours.
Dominic Reed here on Centennial's opening drive, following a big run, punches it in for Centennial's first touchdown of the night. Nolensville, I think they got a rising star here with sophomore Oliver Bender. Maybe the next Chance Fitzgerald. He had a couple big receptions. Centennial here before the half, though. Big touchdown here by Jiren Odie. They go up 14-0 at the break. Didn't get the highlight of it, but Nolensville scored on an 89-yard touchdown reception early in the third quarter to get back in it. Nolensville later, fourth quarter, driving down Zion Tomaska, carried him. I mean, this kid is legit. Final drive of the night, though. Elijah Nieves, huge reception here, or pass to, I believe it was Ethan Cleary. Play of the game, though. Kenai Johnson.
Oh, my gosh.
I mean, unbelievable. And then at the very end, you get the game-winning field goal here by Wells Stanley with 7 seconds to go. I mean, it was just a massive win for Centennial.
Another
Well,
one of those.
Stanley, man of the night, hitting that game-winning field goal with 7 seconds left. What's going through your mind, man? Is they're trying to freeze you back-to-back timeouts? What's going through your mind?
Hey, it was electric. I mean, they freeze me. I was ready for it. I was 6 minutes ready. I was kicking and I was just ready. I had my steps ready. I kept going and I was just had my plant foot good and but my holder.
I noticed that every time they would call a timeout, everybody would come to the sideline. You're still taking your steps. Is this your first game-winning field goal?
It is, yes, sir.
I mean, this is every kicker's dream. When you see it go through the uprights, what's going through your mind?
I mean, just excitement. I was just happy. 90% mental, just got a deep breath, kick it, uprights done.
This is probably a game you guys have had circled on the calendar. Obviously, it's lived up to the hype, 2 undefeated teams. For you to be able to get this win tonight, how big is this going for the team?
I mean, this is probably the biggest game we've played yet. I mean, Brentwood will be big, but that's in the future. But, I'm glad to get this over with and take a big W home tonight.
Congratulations, man.
Hey, thank you.
What's going on, guys? Joe with 615 Preps here with Centennial head coach Jamal Stewart following the Cougars. Thrilling 17-14 win over Nolensville. Coach, how you feeling right now?
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I've never in my career said I won a game off a field goal, especially coming from where I came from. You know the situation with that.
Yeah.
But, hey, man, it's exciting, man. Our kids worked hard. They overcame adversity. They trusted each other. And we made the right throws and made the right plays at the right time.
What's going through your mind when that field goal goes up?
Please go in. You know what I mean? So, but no, I have confidence. Wells does a good job. He works his butt off every day, all day. So I told him, I said, this is an extra point for you, Wells. I promise. I said, you're going to have it. I have 100% confidence in you making this kick right now. And I knew he did. I feel good about it.
All season long, we've talked about your offense, the way they've been able to put up points. Defensively tonight, though, I think you had 6. You stopped them 6 times when they're in your territory or your area. I mean, just talk a little bit about how your defense performed tonight.
Our defense has really been good all year long. I know we've been getting a lot of publicity on offense, but the defense has been lights out all year, and they did a great job today. Like I said, we had a great week of film study. We had a great breakdown and what we expect, tendencies and things like that. And of course, they make plays. They're a well-coached team. They make plays, but overall, I was proud of our defense performance.
Elijah had his ups and downs throughout the game. On that last drive, though, he was clutch. I mean, what's it mean to you to see that out of your quarterback tonight?
When I called timeout, I told Kenai Johnson, I said, I need you to win the game. And I said, he's going to make the throw. You run the right route. And I said, I feel 100% confident in that. I told him back-to-back. I told him I feel 100% in both of these plays. And, he's growing. He's still growing. He's a senior quarterback, but for our system, he's still learning it still, even though it's game 6. And I have 100% confidence in him. He works hard. We do a good breakdown together, film study, and he tells me what he likes. I had a couple missed reads, but that's part of being a quarterback. You're not going to be 100%, but he showed up when we needed him.
Massive win tonight, Coach. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
17-14, Centennial now 6-0.
Yeah, another one of those wins that good teams get against good teams. Nolensville, nothing to hang their heads on here. That's a heck of a team they played. Just 2 really good teams, and just so happened that Centennial, maybe it's a home edge, but that looked like a great game to be at.
Yeah, we all had questions just about how good Nolensville was, right? They were undefeated going in the game, but you look at the schedule they played, not a lot of teams with winning records. I think last night, even though they lost, they proved that they are still very much in control of, potentially hosting a couple playoff games. It's a very good team. Zion Tomaska is legit. He's very reminiscent of Samson Johnson. You give him the ball, he'll run you over. The kid's not afraid of anything. And both defenses, it was impressive. For Centennial, Nolensville drove into their territory 5 previous times before they finally scored on the 6th attempt. They had kept them out of the end zone. They had blocked a field, or there's a really awkward field goal attempt that led to a pass that fell incomplete. It was interesting. Centennial, for me, they're doing what good teams do, right? Kind of like you said, Scott. They're blowing out the bad teams. They're blowing out the teams they should beat. But then you look at this game and the Independence game, where the teams are maybe better or they're on par with them, and they're finding ways to win. And that's what that's what Jamal Stewart brings to the field, right? I mean, that's what he did at East Nashville. That's what he's doing now at Centennial. So big win for the Cougars. They got Brentwood here in a couple weeks. Next week they got Glencliff. They should go in there and pick up a win and have a lot of momentum going into that Brentwood game.
Yeah, I think you're right, Joe. I think what gets lost with teams like Centennial and Nolensville is just how good their defenses are. We're so used to seeing, a lot of talent on the offensive side of the ball and a lot of points that we tend to forget or overlook that there's some outstanding defensive players and outstanding defensive play on teams like this, and that really shows up when you're playing good teams.
And Nolensville have a key game next week against Hillsboro in region play, and that's going to be big for them to see if they can stay in that number 2 spot. Oakland shuts out Rockville 35-0. The Patriots now 5-1 with that win. They're on a short week. We'll see them Thursday night at Siegel. Rockville 2-4 now, and they're at Coffee County trying to find some answers.
Yeah, big night for and help me with this first name. Don.
Yep. Don A.
Thank you. Don A. Morris. I believe he had 4 touchdowns on the game last night. So a big night for him. Oakland, though, not a whole lot of they basically held Rockville defensively to 67 yards rushing and 79 yards passing. So another big defensive effort for the Patriots.
Oakland kind of proving that, even though they got the one loss to that Center Grove team out of Indiana, still the class of 6A right now. I know people are going to say, well, if they are, why do you have Brentwood ranked ahead of them? Brentwood's undefeated, and they've beaten some really good teams. Simple as that. Oakland is not a bad team. I think they're still one of, I would say, in my opinion, 4 teams that you could look at as favorites for the 6A title. And the road to that title goes through them because they've won the last 3. So
Page is up to 5-1 with a 42-6 win at Glencliff. The Patriots get their region opening victory, while Glencliff falls to 2-4 ahead of their trip to Centennial next week. Page has James Lawson coming in to Rutherville in week number 7.
Yeah, not a lot of. Well, let's just put it this way: Page rolled up 26 points in the first quarter. Did all their scoring by halftime. Playing Page football, and not a whole lot of problem with the Colts in this one.
Pearl Cone, not a lot of trouble with Station Camp either. 55-0 as the Firebirds keep on rolling. They're 3-0 in region play, 6-0 overall, and the Firebirds are just doing what they've been wanting to do all season long, which is beat teams badly.
Hot take. I don't think Pearl Cone's going to have any issues with anybody for a long time.
Let me ask this, Chris, and maybe, but is this the second shutout in a row? Did they not win 61-0 last week?
Yeah.
So on top of a high-powered, high-performing offense, we've got a defense that is taking care of business on the field. Yeah, I think that right now Pearl is on a mission.
61-0 last week against Montgomery Central. So, yeah.
So, exactly what you said previously, Joe. Good teams beat the teams they're supposed to beat in the fashion that they're supposed to beat them. And this is just Pearl Cone doing just that.
Yeah. Station Camp 1-5 with that loss, 1-2 region play. They will travel up the road to White House next week to try to improve on that mark. Red Bowling Springs 42-21 winners over Perry County. The Bulldogs at 4-2, one of those small class teams that they're winning games.
Very happy for Red Bowling Springs as far as they don't get a whole lot of attention, and they have they've had an unfortunate history. Seems to be this year that they're actually turning some things around and winning some games.
Got a stat line on Aubrey Link, the quarterback for Red Bowling Springs. 244 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, 49 yards rushing, and another touchdown, threw for a 2-point conversion. On defense, had a pick 6, had 3 tackles for a loss, 10 tackles overall, kicked 4 extra points, and had 26 return yards on special teams.
Mr. Do-It-All.
Oh my gosh, you sell tickets, cook hot dogs?
How about kind of going along with this? We talked a little bit about them earlier. Antioch and Red Bowling Springs, 2 teams that have struggled in recent years. I mean, Antioch 3-3 in the favorite in that region. Red Bowling Springs 4-2, making a lot of noise. I know they didn't win last night, but Glencliffe's gotten better. You look at a team like Ezel Harding that's played well a lot of times this year. It's really good to see these teams that have had their struggles the last couple. White's Creek won. I mean, it's good to see these teams that have struggled to come out, and they've come out and they're picking up wins, and it's just kind of fun to see that.
Red Bowling
Either
Springs
that or
has. Sorry, Scott. Go ahead.
oh no, I was just gonna say either that or it's a voodoo year. I mean, we're seeing that. It's a very interesting year. I mean, it's hard to nail down in a lot of these cases what's gonna happen on the field, because it's really kind of I don't say strange, but I don't have another word for it.
Yeah. We'll find out more about Red Bowling Springs region prospects next week, as they haven't played a region game yet. They'll host Gordonsville next week. Only 3 region games for them, so they're going to make the playoffs regardless of what happens.
Right.
So once we start seeing them in region games, we'll find out a little bit more about this Bulldog team. But in their non-region games, they've taken care of business largely. So Bulldogs now 4-2.
They're in with Joe Burns, right?
Yes, they are, with Joe Burns and Clay County.
That Joe Burns game could be one heck of a game.
Yeah, very well could be. And Davidson Academy also 6-0, 36-15 winners over Pope Prep. The Knights have played a lot better the last couple of weeks, and actually played fairly well in this one, but Davidson Academy took care of business there in the second half.
Well, the Knights are young, but their kids are getting seasoned. They're getting experience. 204-yard performance out of Elijah Robb. So they're running the ball well, but that defense just needs some more time. Meanwhile, Davidson Academy, Knox Roberts is going to Knox Roberts. I mean, he just seems to be just that consistent every week.
He needs to be in the Mr. Football conversation. I mean, it's every week.
Yeah.
Yes, I would agree with that. I think that it's not flashy, but it's consistent as all get out.
That game next week against FRA.
Can I go, Chris?
You trying to tell people? Y'all trying to tell people something there?
Look, I'm just saying, if you see us at FRA next week, come say hi, because that'll be a good one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not too far. Not too far from where I live either. So I mean, hear me out.
Yeah, you're gonna actually be there, and I'm the one that's closer to than you are.
Yeah, very true.
We'll
Tragic.
get to that. We'll get to that Wednesday night in the Mid-State 48, though. Let's keep on rolling. Ravenwood gets a late field goal to beat Independent 16-14, and the Raptors now 5 wins in a row. Indy 3-3.
Yeah, Raptors turned the ball over 4 times, but despite that, Drew Crabtree hits a 22-yard field goal late to give them the victory.
Defense is what it is with Williamson County teams this year, man. Brentwood, Centennial, Nolensville, Ravenwood, Independence. I mean, all these teams have great defenses, and I still think this Independence team is really, really good, and I think they could give Brentwood some issues later in the year. But Ravenwood, I mean, they're another one of those quiet teams. Nobody's really talking about them since that Alcoa loss. Wins like this are how you get talked about.
Yep. Ravenwood gets the last crack at Brentwood in Week 11, though, so something to think about for later in this season. Stratford 53-14 winners over Republic, and the Spartans back at 500 now at 3-3.
Big win for them. They needed that.
Yeah, 1-1 in region play too for them as Republic falls to 0-6. Stratford will travel to Hunter's Lane next week. Rossview 31-0 winners over Kirkwood. This Rossview defense, Scott, you talked about them this week. I think this is their 4th shutout.
Yeah, this Rossview team is really good. Johnny Caballero made 7 tackles and had a pick 6 in this game. They're quietly, well, I'm not going to say not so quietly, but they're a really good defensive team. I think that in that area they're probably second only to Clarksville. And they had several players, but like I said, the defense is where it really stands. DeAntoine Young, 180 yards, 2 touchdowns, 33 carries. This team's only going to get better as this season continues.
Key region game for the Hawks against Dixon County next week. Kirkwood now 4-2, and they'll travel to Liberty Creek trying to get back on the horse. They've lost 2 straight. Blackman knocks off Siegel 24-21. Big win for the Blaze there, and hopes their playoff hopes. And the Siegel, after that 4-0 start, they cooled off a bit.
Yeah, maybe that the hype. It's still a really good game. I mean, and it's a rivalry game, so you can't, just a crosstown game. So, a lot of those things go out the window when you have crosstown teams and things like that. Ethan Carson, touchdown reception, a sack, a pick in the game. Ethan Carson, I just talked about him. Carter Gregory, 13 of 28, 3 TDs. And I think that they really just kept Thomas Centennial in check, made him throw the ball, didn't let him get out. I think he only had like 42 yards rushing or something like that. So the Blackman defense stepped up in this one as well.
Yeah, I mean, we thought Blackman's defense was going to be the strength of the Blaze this year, and so far so good. I mean, I know they're 2-4, but when you slow down a team like Siegel, that's week in and week out, it seems like they're putting up a ton of points. It's a really good sign for the future, at least for Blackman.
Thursday night, Siegel host Oakland, and Blackman will have Pure Academy next Friday. Smith County 14-7 over East Robertson. Let's go ahead and show these highlights because first half, there's not a whole lot to talk about. Riley Martin finds Clayton Rigsby midway through the 3rd quarter to finally get some points on the board, and Smith County takes a 7-zip lead with 5:57 left in the quarter. They turned it over deep in their own end on downs, and East Robertson made them pay for it. Cade Brooks from 12 yards out. East Robertson tied it at 7 with less than 10 minutes to go. But this was a bizarre game because the clock malfunctioned in the 4th quarter. It went out with 7:33 left, and it didn't get fixed. So late in the ballgame, Martin finding Key Harris to put the Owls up 14-7. After checking with the officials, we found out this was about 1:36 to go. Final chance for East Robertson, but this one's picked off by Peyton Hicks. And the Owls are going to escape, cross plains, and head back to Carthage with a big, big win in Region 4-2A. 14-7 winners over East Robertson, and Smith County had something to prove.
Peyton, this probably has to be one of the hardest fought games you've ever played in. Came right down to the final 30 seconds, and you had to pick to seal it. What was tonight like in the trenches and helping get that thing done?
It was definitely hard. D linemen helped me out getting off the blocks. Just like they're holding up the linemen so I can go around and make tackles. So on that last play, I just read the quarterback. He got a little shallow. I mean, he overthrew it. I picked it off. Hope I can keep doing that this year.
Between TV and all the flags and all that stuff, it seemed like this game never had any flow to it. How hard is that as a player when you have all those stoppages?
All the stoppages, the clock even not working. The clock was a big factor. Having to ask for the time. The referees, I mean, there's a lot of flags in the game. I mean, you just got to fight through adversity and get the dub.
What does that say about this team being able to go through all that adversity in one night?
I feel like we're a tough team. We're a tough team to beat. We're going to fight all 4 quarters. I mean, I'm ready to play Overman next week.
The biggest thing for y'all is that's real key in this region race as far as being the top seed. No, when it comes to playoff time, how important is it going to be to get playoff games down the hole?
I mean, always playing in the hole is always a good thing.
Tell them to quit betting again.
Playing in the hole is always a plus. I mean, we get the crowd, the student section, the fan, everything just helps us out and wins.
All right. Congratulations. Great night.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Coach, with all the stoppages and penalties and stuff tonight, there was no flow to this game whatsoever. How hard was it just to keep everything composed with everything that's going on tonight?
You know, it was very hard. One, you just got two extremely talented football teams just dogging each other, going at it, you know, scratching, clawing, bleeding all night. And like you said, it was a weird game. You know, there was a lot of time stoppages with the TV timeouts and with, you know, incomplete passes or turnovers or penalties. And, you know, our guys were just very resilient in being able to sit there and weather that storm of, hey, you know, we had a penalty, we got the chains backed up, or, you know, we gave up a first down. Just being able to come back, play another snap, play another play, make East Robertson line up, run another play, wait for them to make a mistake or wait for them to turn the ball over, and our guys made plays when they had to make plays.
You've got a very resilient team, and it really showed tonight. You know, how much does this say about this group coming in here with everything going on this week of TV and all that they came in here and found a way to get it done?
Well, you know, it just they've answered adversity so well just in the last 3 years, this senior group. You know, when they were sophomores coming in, we had the injury bug. We were able to win 6 games, you know, be second in the region to East Nashville. And then the year after in 22, you know, they came up. They were very experienced. And, you know, we had a few injuries at the end of the year. We lost to East Nashville in the quarterfinals. And then, you know, here we are this year. We've moved down in classification. And, you know, once again, we're paired with East Robertson, who everybody had picked to be the favorite to win state, to win the region. And no one really gave us a chance to win this game. But that really didn't affect our guys because our guys have been battle-tested the dadgum last 3 years because we play 4A teams, 3A teams, heck, Walker Valley being a 5A team. And, you know, we don't shy away from competition, and that helped us tonight in this game, just being very battle-tested, playing bigger teams, playing 4-quarter battles. And, you know, this team is so resilient. They're so talented, though, and, you know, no one really gives them credit for their talent, but they're just a bunch of gritty warriors that they're going to fight for 4 quarters. And, you know, that's what I love about these guys is the fight and the determination and the will to win, but just the will to prepare and the will to sacrifice, and that's what makes these guys so special.
Coach, congratulations. Big win for you guys.
Yes, it was. You know, it puts us in the driver's seat for the region, and now we just got to stay in that seat and keep playing each week.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's I think Matt Dyer said it all right there. It puts themselves in the driver's seat in that region. 14-7, Smith County with the win. But Scott, you and I are both there. This may have been one of the weirdest games I've ever covered. Just from a flow standpoint, which there wasn't any, and all the penalties, you know, the clock issues in the fourth quarter, just some of the bizarre things that happened on that field with certain plays, and it was just
it was. I agree with you. It was very odd, and as much as we said that there was, you know, no flow. When a flow did start to happen, something would pop up to interrupt it. I mean, you know, between the TV timeouts and everything else, and it, you know, it seemed like we were delayed at the beginning as everybody was getting their knees shrunk, and so they go on the field. Sorry, Joe. Yeah, you would have loved it.
I'd have lost my mind.
East Robertson, I mean, the first half, if you'd asked me at the, you know, because it was tied who won the first half, I would have had to say East Robertson. They were moving the ball. They were just shooting themselves in the foot with penalties. They would move down the field and then they'd back up 30 yards. Smith County had opportunities in the first half, had 2 field goals blocked or partially blocked or whatever. You know, they had chances, had a missed opportunity in the end zone on a pass.
Mhm.
But a lot of those drives were aided by East Robertson penalties. I mean, the ground game, but you know what really showed it out to me in the second half was when Smith County came out to pass and started passing the ball. East Robertson never could seem to get their passing game going at all. And one name, Javier Gaspar, 74. He was a beast on that line, and I didn't realize how much he was until I started going through the photos and see 2-3 guys on him, which is exactly what Peyton Hicks said, opening him up for free rushes, to fill holes, to fill gaps. I tell you, the Smith County defense, no joke whatsoever. And we know that they wouldn't be. And you know, Matt Dyer has this team rolling. But if East Robertson can get their game cleaned up a little bit, they'll be right back in the mix. But they just won't be in the, as Coach Dyer said, not in the driver's seat.
Yeah, East Robertson really, when they tried to move the ball and had a decent chunk play, it was called back to a penalty. And after that first drive in the first half, they didn't really get a whole lot going there until in the second quarter. But let's give a call to freshman Riley Martin for Smith County, because really he was in a tough position at the beginning of the year when Caden Powell left to go to Beach. Martin comes in here and as a freshman and is finding his groove right now, and didn't have a ton of time to throw in the first half last night at all. But in the second half, he found a couple of opportunities to make plays, and he was able to do so. And it's big for him, for his learning curve going forward, that he's able to win games like that as a quarterback. It's great for his confidence. And Smith County is in good shape if he continues to improve like he has so far. So big win for the Owls. And you mentioned Javier Gaspar, Scott. He's also the kicker for Smith County. And had a couple of field goals partially blocked and missed a third, but extra points when they needed them, he came through.
Yeah, the one he missed was just a little out of his range because it was right on target. It was short. But he made both extra points when they needed him. But, I mean, where he was effective was on defense. But, Chris, you made an interesting point about the freshman quarterback there for Smith County. When he started making those first and second reads and hitting the open receivers, all of a sudden the run game started to open up. And I think that was the difference in the game. And you don't often say, hey, Smith County passing game, unless you're talking about Caden Powell, and that is another dimension to their game that makes them very dangerous.
Yep, the road to state's going to go through Smith County, at least as far as that part of the bracket's concerned. Now with the Owls in first place, looks like they're in control of that region. If they take care of business, you'll have to go to Carthage to knock them out. And that's a big deal in the postseason. East Robertson going to try to get back on the wagon after the loss. They're 5-1 overall. They're at Westmoreland next week. Smith County at home against Upperman, so it's going to be a big test for the Owls as well. Smyrna now has won 2 straight, 34-0 over McGavock. And more importantly, though, the Bulldogs are 2-0 region play. And we've talked about Antioch in this region. Now, Smyrna's unbeaten as well, so that showdown is looming in the next couple of weeks between Smyrna and Antioch for first place. And it's not all bad for the Bulldogs after their tough start.
No, Aiden Augustine with a tremendous night, 2 picks, 2 pick sixes in that win. Smyrna's defense is still Smyrna's defense. Where they've been challenged has been on offense, and if they turn that around, how big is that Antioch-Smyrna game going to be?
Yeah. McGavock falls to 1-5 with a loss. They get Laverne at home next week in a must-win game for the Raiders. Springfield 3-3 after a 35-0 shutout win at Portland, and the Yellow Jackets 1-1 in region play, and a big region win because it looked like the loser of this game was looking at possibly not making the playoffs, and the Yellow Jackets get it done on the road.
Yeah, Springfield defense stood out again. 123 total yards for the Panthers, none of them passing. C.J. Cobbins with another good night, 2 touchdown receptions. Springfield bounces back against a struggling Portland Panther team.
Springfield gets Hendersonville at home next week. Portland will have a visit from Henry County in week number 7. Lebanon with a shutout win over Watertown, 37-0, and the Blue Devils now improved to 4-2 with that win. And they get Wilson Central at home next week. Watertown also at home against Giles County. West Creek 34-8 winners at Northwest. The Coyotes improving to 2-2 in region play and 2-4 overall. They'll play Thursday night in a short week against Stewart's Creek. Northwest falls to 0-6, and it doesn't get any easier for the Vikings. They're at Clarksville coming up next week. Liberty Creek now 2-4 with a big win over Westmoreland, 42-14. The Wolves from the Big Non-Region win get Kirkwood at home next week while Westmoreland falls to 3-3, and they'll get East Robertson coming in next Friday night.
Yeah. I was about to say that was another big night for Brian Rager.
41-28, Macon County over White County, and the Tigers improved to 5-1. Another big night there for Macon County. Actually, they honored the 1973 team that went unbeaten. It was the only time in school history that the Tigers have gone 10-0, and they got it done in style, 41-28. They're at DeKalb County next Friday in a game that is actually our Spotlight Series game next Friday night, and I'll be over in Smithville for that one. White County falls to 2-4, 0-3 in region play with a loss.
Yeah, different Borders. It wasn't double vision last night. Zach Borders with 111 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns, but Gabe matched him. Couldn't let him get all that. He had a kickoff return and another run for a touchdown. So, the Borders family has 4.
30-10 winners, White House over Greenbrier. Blue Devils bounce back from that loss to Marshall County last week and pick up another region win at Greenbrier to improve to 5-1. They get Station Camp at home at Greenbrier, falls to 1-5. They'll travel to White House Heritage next Friday. Speaking of White House Heritage, they're 20-14 winners at Sycamore, and the Patriots now 4-2. More importantly, 2-0 in league play, and Sycamore 0-6 with that loss. They're at Maplewood next week. Let's look at these out-of-area scores before we get out of here this morning. BA battled hard, but fell at Baylor 31-24. Clarksville Academy a 40-7 loss at Collinwood. DeKalb County falls by 3 at Stone Memorial 27-24. Eagleville drops a 30-22 decision to Wayne County, and Ezel Harding falls at Columbia Academy 55-28. Joe BA, he's fighting in these games against Baylor and McCauley, but just can't get the results to match.
Yeah, they were down 24-7 at one point, came back, tied it at 24. Baylor gets a touchdown there late in the second half. George McIntyre is doing everything he can, guys. I mean, I kind of feel bad for him. I mean, he showed out last night. He did what he could. Defensively, Brentwood Academy's got to figure something out. And honestly, on both sides of the line, I mean, their line play has got to be better. As simple as that. I think this BA team could be really good. It's just they're not getting the results here, and I'm sure it's frustrating being a Eagles fan this year. It's kind of frustrating for me. I picked them to win a state title, so probably my biggest miss of the year. But Baylor, you come back, you keep it close with the 2 Chattanooga teams that are number 1 and number 2 in the state. You're doing something better than you did earlier in the year, but they gotta figure something out because you got Lipscomb Academy here in a couple weeks, and that Lipscomb Academy team is good.
Yeah.
Father Ryan, another loss. This time to Briarcrest Christian, 28-21, and tough going for the Irish. They've lost 2 straight.
Yeah, and nice night for JoJo Crump, but it was all for naught. 26-33 for 330 yards and 3 touchdowns. But is that right? Yeah, that says today. Yeah. That's what I got.
Everything clicked in that win against BA, and then these last 2 weeks is just not, especially on the defensive side of the ball. 24 points last week I think it was 24 to NBA, right?
Yep.
24 points given up to NBA last week, a team that had not scored much this year. 28 this week to Briarcrest, another team that's not scored a ton this year. Yeah. They got to figure out something defensively too. Offensively, it's there with JoJo, but not sure what's going on there.
Yeah, that's a long hangover from that BA win.
Gordonsville wins at Monterey 23-7. Harpeth over Summertown 33-25. NBA falls 35-0 at McCauley, and Providence Christian over the Kings Academy 20-15.
And look out, Providence Christian is, coming from 8-man football, they're really doing well this year. They're much further along than a lot of people thought they would be.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then one more score, Riverdale 49-0 over Coffee County. The Warriors, no trouble there with that one. And Thursday night, they've got Cane Ridge coming in, so a short week for Riverdale.
Braden Graham with a nice night. and Brock Montgomery 2 more touchdowns. So that connection is working very, very well.
Yeah, 21 to 25 for 252 and 5 scores for Graham.
He's so
that
offense. He's so much more improved than last year, I think.
Yep.
If we were to do a most improved player, I don't even think it was necessarily on him last year. I know he had his struggles. I mean, he admittedly told me that during the Riverdale 7-on-7 in July. Line play has gotten better for them. I know they have 2 really tough losses. But man, this Riverdale team is really good, and a lot of that has to do because Braden Graham is playing fantastic football right now.
Well, that's it for the scoreboard. All the damage we can do for the week. Scott, I know we've been touting an announcement or touting a giveaway with our YouTube subscribers now going over the 1,000 mark. So let's bring in some more details about that. We're not going to do the drawing today. That's actually going to come on Wednesday.
Right. Yeah, we have 2 lower bowl tickets for what date was that again, Chris? It was a Wednesday.
Wednesday night. It's Wednesday night.
This Wednesday night.
We actually have to do that giveaway probably Monday.
Yeah. So likely details be pay attention to our social media. Details be coming soon as to how you can win those. But the most important thing is we hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So thank you all very, very much. Please continue to tell your friends and tell, and pass it along. Hit the bells for notifications. Tag your friends and stuff. Hit the like button. Leave a review. All those things help the all-important algorithm that helps us do the things. Yeah, I know. Spooky. Hey, we're getting to that time of year, right?
Spooky season.
But I mean, all those things help us to continue to improve our content, provide more content for you. We want to cover as many games as possible. We want to grow our coverage area, and you guys are a huge part of that. And for the team, all I can say is thank you so very, very much, and thank you to our sponsors. For helping us grow. When we grow, your reach grows. So thank you for your support, and I hope that these thousands of people go to your businesses, go to Fifth Gear Technology for their technology needs, and utilize them, knowing that they support high school football in Middle Tennessee.
Yep, that's well said. That's all the damage we can do for a week. Stay tuned to our socials for that giveaway. We will do that on Monday. That way, because that Predators game is Wednesday night, so you'll have to watch this show while you're at Bridgestone Arena. So whoever wins, take a picture of yourself doing that. That'd be great. All right, we're out.
Oh yeah,
for
please
Scott,
do.
for Joe. Oh yeah, okay. All right. We're out of here. From Scott, for Joe, I'm Chris. We'll see you Wednesday night on the Midstate 48. Have a great rest of your weekend, everybody, and take care.